I'm David Knight, and I'm joined in the studio here with Jakari Jackson, and we're giving Alex Jones a little bit of a break, and we're going to take some of your calls. I know a lot of people have been waiting for a very long time. Jakari, how you doing? Any thoughts?
I'm doing fine. My thoughts and prayers are still with the people of Boston, not just, for the bombing, but for the traumatic incident of, having the SWAT teams come and throw you out of your own home.
Absolutely.
You have to shut down the city to catch one kid. I mean, how many drug dealers and car thieves, violent car thieves are out there every day doing their thing, but you had to shut down the city to catch one guy. Absolutely.
That's just amazing. I've never seen anything like it. I don't think anybody's seen anything like that before in America, but unfortunately, it looks like they're going to use that as a template, and they're going to do that more and more. We're going to see that unless we stop it. People just have to stand up and stop it. We're talking about CISPA, that there's a campaign today. Anonymous, other people on Twitter are trying to raise awareness of this because it is very close to passing, and it is what the late Aaron Swartz called the Patriot Act of the Internet. Right. And he was really kind of a Paul Revere. He didn't want to take credit for this, but he woke a lot of people up. But he was right in the sense that it wasn't anything that one person could do, but he could get people upset about it, and they just they hit Congress with so much information, so many protests that Congress basically backed off. If the public is like a sleeping giant, and if they stay asleep, the government's going to come by and they're going to slowly amputate. It's like diabetes or something. You're going to lose a finger, you're going to lose an arm, you're going to lose a leg until you can't do anything anymore, until you're dead. But if we wake up, they back off. We've seen that over and over again. We saw it with the Second Amendment, and we've got to get people who are fired up on the Second Amendment issue just as fired up on this Patriot Act for the Internet, CISPA. That's going to be stopped.
With guys like Dan Bidandi. I mean, just one guy shut down 3 press conferences because he dared to desire the truth.
Absolutely.
If we had more people like that at Congress, at Senate, at the city council meetings, at the whatever, who will go out there and just make their voices known. Because don't assume somebody's going to do this for you. Don't assume that your neighbor is going to write your congressman or email your senator. Make sure that you do these things yourself. Like I gave the example how I called Chucky Schumer's office when he compared private gun sellers to child pornographers. I called Chucky Schumer's office. I didn't get to talk to him. I had to talk to his intern. But I made my voice known, and that's the same thing people have to do on these other issues like CISPA.
Absolutely. And, it wasn't just shutting down those press conferences. What Dan did was he made the term false flag part of the national dialogue on this. And that's real important because people have to see these things in the context of what's happened before. And if you go back and you look on the Internet at the comments that Aaron Swartz made when he was talking to people about these Internet these attacks on Internet privacy, it was a real awakening for him to see the attitude and the power trips of these congressmen. But let's go to some of these calls that we've got right now. I think the first one that we got up is that Dave in Arizona? Is that the first one we've got? Dave, are you there? Hello, Dave? Dave in Arizona. Okay, let's go to another one right here. We've got D.C. and West Virginia.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How you doing?
Man, this is huge, especially for somebody that's awake now that wasn't awake for 9/11. It's just on a whole another level, seeing everything that's going on, being awake as of 9/11 happening and then waking up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I think a big thing that's being missed, not by you all, but like other people, is the NDAA. I feel like one of the big agendas of this false flag is to kind of legitimize NDAA, kind of the way 9/11 did the Patriot Act.
Absolutely, and you saw the big supporters of NDAA, and Lindsey Graham out there saying that we've got to give this guy the full Gitmo treatment, call him an enemy combatant.
Yeah, you don't get a lawyer, you're an enemy combatant. That's the thing that really bothered me with the way this thing has been handled since the guy's apprehension, is all you see on your big mainstream networks is, we don't have time to give this guy his Miranda rights. We don't need warrants to arrest anybody.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We don't even have to show you this guy placing the bomb. I mean, you can see these guys walking around, just, fair and easy all day, but you can't see these guys ever placing any charges down.
Now, Carney did have a press conference today, and he did say that he's going to, that they are going to give them regular judicial process. That remains to be seen. I guess the real question is the apprehension of these 2 suspects. The fact that the aunt is saying that this one guy was the older brother was in fact the video that we have of the naked suspect being taken, right. And then the next thing you see, he's dead, and then we see that the younger brother is hiding in the boat, and the boat is just riddled with bullets like Bonnie and Clyde.
Right.
And then he appears to be led away, walking fine, and then the next thing we know, he's nearly dead.
Bleeding from the throat.
Yeah. So there's some real questions about that. And as Alex mentioned, there was chatter on the police radio saying that, oh no, the press is here. In other words, they did not want anybody covering these. But anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, speaking of that boat incident, I mean, for one, M. Night Shyamalan couldn't write something better than this. This is crazy. But I don't know if you guys have seen the internet pictures right now that show him kind of crawling out of the boat when they apprehended him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm curious if we can get somebody to try to see if that's legitimate, because, I mean, that's just, how are you going to crawl out of the boat after they riddle it with bullets, for one? And for two, have you guys noticed how, when it first happened, they kept asking, the media would ask about whether or not he had a gun. And it kind of, as soon as they brought that up, he kind of stumbled over what he was going to say, and he kind of wanted to end it right there. Like, he didn't want to talk about that stuff.
Well, if you remember, sir, the big lie, well, I won't say the lie, but the thing they were trying to push is the fact that he was probably armed, likely armed with a explosive vest, a suicide vest. It's the thing they kept trying to push. So we have to take this guy out. We can't take any chances. We don't need any warrants because he may be strapped with a suicide vest.
Well, and as Joel Skousen pointed out, when we listen to the tapes, you hear a tremendous amount of gunfire. I've listened to the tapes that neighbors made. I didn't see or hear any explosions. So the tapes really don't corroborate what the FBI is saying at this point as far as there being explosions and bombs being thrown. Well, thanks for talking to us. We've got Michael in Tennessee coming up next. Michael, you there?
Hello?
Hello, Michael.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
How are you today?
Doing fine. What you got?
I'm a Prison Planet member calling from FEMA Region 4. I've got y'all's free bumper stickers and passing them out like water. I used your Procure, all et cetera. Anyway, I called Alex about a month ago. I'm the Constitution Bill of Rights news sticker idea guy. I think y'all should run the Bill of Rights as a news sticker at the bottom of your screen. But I wanted to point out something about the Constitution. Everybody's trying to mess with it, and I'm going to tell you the Bill of Rights itself says in the first 4 articles, the first letter of all of the first 4 articles spells out the words can't. I think it can't be any plainer than that. I'd also like to point out that the milestones to our road to freedom should include wonderful things like Badondi's awesome non-mainstream questioning and also Alex's Pierce Morgan takeover show. I'm going to say I think it's unusual that the Twin Towers, and they originally were calling this the Twin Bombings. And I'd just like to know if you think there were any videos that showed dogs, those bomb-sniffing dogs, that were actually alerted and then kind of asked to turn down. And there are people all the time, I'm saying a lot of stuff here, but I want to get it out and then you can comment. But people say all the time, what can I do? Well, in about the last 2 months, have become extremely proactive, and I've called on my phone 93 calls to senators and state representatives against unlawful gun controls and for teachers to be trained, which, by the way, in Tennessee passed. And are there any websites that show any information about Dr. Pachenik's reporting on the Obama, Bush, Clinton indictments? And now I'll leave it to you, and that's all I wanted to ask.
It was pulled down as addressing the Pachenik question. That was pulled down, but I do believe it is on Planet InfoWars, and you can probably just type in the search.
And I don't remember the name of the website, but they did have a 1-hour video there, a press conference, and you can look at the full 600-page report. That organization, and I don't have that right with me right now. Maybe we can get that later. But I tell you what, Michael, I really appreciate your activism and your support of us, but your activism with Congress. And one thing to put on your list, you've been very active calling people, call about CISPA. That is something, there's a lot more Republican support for it than there is Democrat support. So we still have a chance at defeating it in the Senate.
Right.
And we've got to remember that SOPA and PIPA and even CISPA itself in its previous incarnation that wasn't as bad as it is right now, those were all defeated, even though all of the people on the House committee were co-sponsors of it. It was pretty much a done deal when Aaron Schwartz started fighting it. And they brought that thing back. They delayed it, and they brought it, kept publicizing it and resisting it until they stopped it. So it can be stopped, but we have to get active, just like you've been active. And in terms of the number of videos and things that are going to show any bomb-sniffing dogs at the finish line, I think we're going to see a lot of stuff continue to surface over the next months and years. You got to remember that we just talked to Mike McNulty, who did the Waco Rules of Engagement and then Waco, A New Revelation documentary. And it took a long time for the information about exactly what happened at Waco. Mm-hmm. People knew that the official story was contrived, false, contradictory, but it took a very long time to find the exact information, and it took him a while to discover it. And he actually was successful with Freedom of Information Act to uncover some information that the government had never had out there before. So I think eventually the truth is going to come out. We know, though, from the get-go that there's a lot of suspicious stuff here.
And keep in mind, a lot of people had their cameras and such confiscated by the authorities when it happened. They even admitted that on CNN. We have to take these cameras because there may be information on them. So that will make it somewhat more difficult, but I am confident there are people who have, even if it's just in the background, they have the bomb-sniffing dogs or whatever else going on.
Absolutely. We've got Terry in Washington next. Terry, are you there?
I'm here. Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing fine. How are you? What you got?
Good. Hey, I hope Alex is still in the building because I want him to hear this. I tell you what, it sucks for anybody that doesn't belong to PrisonPlanet.tv because I watched this unfold the day that Alex had Richard Belzer on the show.
That's right.
And the first thing that came to my mind, I've never seen a telethon or a marathon where they didn't have a camera up high watching the runners come in.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
That camera was covered up because it was in the spot where the bomb was to go off.
Yeah.
And they knew that ahead of time.
Yeah, it was either...
Also, I want to see the dash cam of these guys throwing bombs out the window.
Yes, that's exactly what I said. I want to see the dash cam of the bombs being thrown out. I want to see the dash cam of the younger brother running over the other brother. I mean, they should have all this stuff on tape somewhere.
Well, and even going back further than that, you remember when they finally did get around to their press conference that they delayed and then delayed again as we were releasing photographs. They were telling people, don't look at any of the other photographs, but in their own, what they were telling us to look at, it really wasn't very credible. I mean, he had the wrong color backpack. The younger brother has a very casual attitude as he's walking along. And it just didn't make any sense, you know, when they had it. And at the press conference, you had a reporter ask the FBI representative what time it was put down, and he was kind of vague on that. Well, it was sometime around, you know, close to when the explosion happened. Do you have a picture of the bag being put down? No, they didn't have, you know, or they weren't releasing it. So why haven't we seen a picture of the bag being put down? I mean, they keep showing this picture of the two brothers walking around the corner of a building and a couple of feet down a sidewalk, and that's it. And yet we're supposed to take with the wrong color bag, and yet that's conclusive evidence that these guys did the bombing. And the press is reporting this as the guys who did the bombing. They're not even using the word alleged.
Yeah, and as far as the evidence, let's find out who this naked man was, because there is speculation. The aunt, I believe, has identified the naked man as one of her relatives, and
yes, as the older brother.
But nobody's talking about that anymore.
Yeah.
It came out on I believe it was CNN a few days ago, and it hasn't been talked about since, as far as I know.
That's right. Mike, did you have anything else?
It's just like I was watching CNN this morning, waiting for Alex to come on. And, you know, they were interviewing these guys, and everybody that they interviewed kept passing the buck. You know, that wasn't my department, and, you know, that was a different district. And they had a long rifle. And, you know, of course, they had to bring the long rifle into the scene. There was a long rifle in the car. You know, it's just so full of holes that this thing isn't going to float. In fact, it's going to float about as good as that boat.
Absolutely, but you see that they've got their agenda coming out already. Last Thursday, when the House had the CISPA Act, you had the chair of the House Committee on Homeland Security saying, well, we had real bombs now, but the digital bombs are coming, so we've got to pass CISPA. Then you've got the guy who was a co-sponsor of CISPA coming on and talking yesterday about all these dangers and everything, how this has got to be put in. So they've got an agenda. They even tried to tie this into other firearms, you know, say these guys didn't have the proper licenses for their handguns, so therefore we've got to have, more licenses. I guess we're going to have pressure cookers banned next.
And black powder for making ammunition is.
Oh yeah, that's a real thing too.
Now, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Mike. We have to move on to let's go to David in Alaska. David, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I got a question. Maybe you could help quote either in the Constitution or in the Declaration of Independence. Now, I could be wrong. I don't know which one it's in, but I know that it's been written in set in stone, saying we are be able to bear arms for the reason that if in case one day the government gets too big and too controlling and tyrannical, that we are obligated as our U.S. citizen right to form a militia to fight back to regain the government.
Well, the Declaration of Independence, they always have you memorize in school the part of that these rights are inalienable rights, okay, but they don't have you memorize the second half of that first paragraph, which says that when a government is destructive of these rights, it is the right and the duty of the people to alter or abolish that government. They don't want you to memorize that part of it. But when you talk about the Constitution, really the militia and the Second Amendment comes in two places. It's not just the Second Amendment, but it was also in Article 1, Section 8. And what it said there was that the federal government would not organize an army and fund it for more than 2 years at a time. They were allowed to organize and fund permanently a navy to protect our borders and protect us from invasion. But they understood that a standing army, and if you look at the Federalist Papers and the debates on the Constitution, you'll see that they understood that a standing army would eventually be used as an instrument of oppression. They had already experienced that from the British, and they knew that that would happen again. And so they did not want a permanent standing army. And you can see that in the farewell address of Eisenhower that he was very concerned about that, about a permanent military-industrial complex and how that was going to be run for profit. So that's something that is really kind of came into play after World War II. We've had a constant standing army, and it's been involved in constant war ever since then. And now that war is coming home. Now that military-industrial complex is starting to fund itself with domestic operations, and we're going to see that happen.
I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com.
Let's go right to Mike in California. Mike, had we talked to you before, or is this a different Mike in California?
No, this is a different Mike.
Okay, how you doing?
Oh, good. Hey, first of all, you guys are playing some great music for the intro.
Thanks.
But I just wanted to say, I caught something in the FBI press conference after they caught the suspect. Reporter asked, how did the suspect get away? And they said he got away on foot. So if he got away on foot, then how is it possible that he also ran over his brother trying to get away?
Yeah, that was real iffy to me because there is speculation that maybe he was driving and then hopped out the car, then proceeded on foot. But even if he did proceed on foot, I mean, with that many officers around, I mean, the dragnet of that, I'm just not sure how he could get away with that many officers around him, especially if they had any type of helicopter coverage.
Yeah, and even with the house-to-house Gestapo tactics that they were doing, pulling people out of their houses at gunpoint, they didn't find him.
Yeah.
It was the guy who said, hey, I think there's somebody in my boat, He turned him in. I mean, it's citizens who found him.
Right.
Anything else you wanted to say, Mike?
Yeah. Well, first of all, they were also already engaged in a firefight, so I don't see the guy getting away without being shot.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I'm wondering, Michelle Obama has no official capacity whatsoever. She's not elected. She has no authority whatsoever. what right did she have to go in there and see somebody that was a person of interest in a massive terrorist plot without, how did she get in through the back door into this hospital like this?
Well,
why?
It's just a photo op and, something to talk about. Just like you said, she has no elected office. She's, the wife of the president.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Let's go to Josh in Georgia. Josh, are you there?
Hey there.
Hey, how are you? What you got?
I've been better.
Yeah.
Events of the last week are just it's horrible.
Absolutely.
But what I wanted to do is kind of plug here. I've got a page on Facebook that I started in a group, and it's called, the name of it is The Constitution is Alive. Granted, I know it's not a living document, but if the Constitution dies, so does this country, is the idea that I was going with. Also, email it at Hotmail, the same name. And what it is I've been getting in contact with various national and local groups, as well as trying to contact senators and legislators about having a national rally on July 4th. I feel that date will send an even greater message than any other day of the year, especially for this nation, for us to march on our state capitals. I feel that if you can make it to Washington, that'll be great. But if you can't make the cross country trek, the state capitals will work for gun owners across America to finally stand up and to have our voice be heard, where we can.
Absolutely. And your voice is going to be heard better at the state level than it is at the federal level. I mean, we've seen that over and over again. There are some legislators at the state level. We have some people here in Texas who are trying to fight the TSA's overreaching violation of the Fourth Amendment and other things. And so you do have some people who are pushing back against federal usurpation of power and overreach, and they're at the state level. So you need to really get involved there and support those people.
And I have been. I haven't really gotten any feedback from anybody, any politically wise yet. But
we'll keep trying and tell people on your Facebook page to work against CISPA. That's the thing that's in the targets right now.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.